The mansion sat on the hill like a crown. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, paintings worth millions. But upstairs, in a bedroom with silk curtains, a woman sat trapped in her own body. Mrs. Castellano, once the queen of this empire, now broken. 6 months ago, the stroke came like a thief in the night. It stole her voice, stole the strength from her right side, stole her power. She could think, she could feel, she could see everything, but she couldn't speak, couldn't defend herself. And they knew it. Maria, the head maid, smiled sweetly when the boss was home. But the moment his car disappeared down the driveway, that smile turned cold. Time for your medicine, old woman. Mrs. Castellano winced as Maria shoved the pills into her mouth. No water. No gentleness. Swallow, Maria hissed. In the corner, 2 other maids whispered and giggled. They used to bow to her. Now they barely looked at her. Did you soil yourself again? Maria's voice dripped with disgust. You're pathetic. Mrs. Castellano's eyes filled with tears. Not from pain. From humiliation. They left her lunch tray just out of reach. Left her sitting in the wheelchair facing the wall for hours. Forgot to help her to the bathroom until she had no choice but to wade in shame. When her son came home each evening, they transformed. Gentle voices. Caring touches. Your mother ate well today, sir. Lies. She seems happy, sir. More lies. Mrs. Castellano tried. She tried so hard to make sounds, to move her left hand in warning. But her son was too busy, too distracted by his empire. He saw what he wanted to see, his mother being cared for. He didn't see the bruises hidden under her sleeves. Didn't notice how she flinched when Maria approached. One night, Mrs. Castellano made a decision. She would find a way. Somehow, it took her 3 weeks. 3 weeks of practicing in the mirror when they left her alone. 3 weeks of forcing her mouth to form shapes. 3 weeks of gathering every ounce of strength. When her son visited on Sunday morning, she was ready. He sat beside her bed, scrolling through his phone. The shipment arrived safely, Mama. Business is good. She made a sound, a small sound. His head snapped up. Mama? She tried again. Her mouth moved. Her throat vibrated. N. You're trying to speak? His eyes widened. He grabbed her hand. What is it? And knew. 20 minutes. It took 20 minutes of patient waiting, of encouragement, of holding her hand. Finally, new maid. His face showed confusion. You want a new maid? But Maria has been. New. The word exploded from her with such force that she collapsed back against the pillows, exhausted. But she'd done it. Her son sat very still. Then he looked at his mother, really looked at her, for the first time in months. The weight loss. The fear in her eyes. The way she pulled away from Maria when the maid entered the room. His jaw tightened. You'll have a new maid by tomorrow, Mama. I promise. That night, Maria and the others were fired. No explanation. Just gone. Mrs. Castellano slept peacefully for the first time in 6 months. The bus station at dawn was cold. Grace sat on a metal bench, her entire life in a single backpack. 28 years old. No family. No real home. Just a heart that refused to give up. The group home had kicked her out when she turned 18. Since then, it had been one survival job after another. Restaurant kitchens. Cleaning offices at night. Anything honest. She'd been sleeping in a youth shelter when she saw the job posting. Live-in caregiver needed. Room and board included. Experience required. She had no real experience. But she had something else. She had love to give. An ocean of it. Love that had nowhere to go since the day her mother died when Grace was 7. The interview was at 9. She arrived at 8:30. The mansion took her breath away. She'd never seen anything like it. For a moment, fear almost won. What am I doing here? I don't belong in a place like this. But then she thought of the shelter. The cold meals. The loneliness. She rang the bell. The man who answered the door wasn't what she expected. Tall. Broad shoulders. A face carved from stone. Eyes that could freeze fire. Dante Castellano. The boss. Everyone in the city whispered his name. The man who controlled everything in the shadows. Dangerous. Powerful. Untouchable. But Grace saw something else in those eyes when he looked at her. Exhaustion. Worry. Fear. "You're here for the caregiver position," he said. Not a question. "Yes, sir. I know I might not look like much, but I promise I'll work harder than anyone. My mother had a stroke. She can barely speak. She can't walk without help. She needs someone patient. Someone kind." His voice was flat, but his hands clenched at his sides. The last maids, they weren't kind. Grace's heart cracked. "I'll be kind, sir. I promise." He studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Follow me." Mrs. Castellano sat in her wheelchair by the window, staring out at the garden. Grace stopped in the doorway. The woman looked so small, so fragile. "Mama," Dante said softly, "this is Grace, your new caregiver." Mrs. Castellano turned her head slowly. Their eyes met, and something happened. Something neither of them could explain. Recognition. Not of faces, but of souls. Two women who'd lost everything. Two women who understood loneliness. Grace crossed the room and knelt beside the wheelchair, not standing over her, not talking down to her. Eye to eye. "Hello," Grace whispered. "I'm going to take care of you. And I promise, I will treat you the way I wish I could have treated my own mother." Mrs. Castellano's eyes filled with tears. Grace reached up and gently wiped them away. "It's okay. You're safe now." Behind them, Dante watched. His chest felt tight. When was the last time someone had touched his mother with such tenderness? "I'll leave you two to get acquainted," he said quietly. As he left, he heard his mother make a sound. A soft sound. She was humming. For the first time in 6 months, his mother was humming. First week, Grace learned Mrs. Castellano's world. She learned that the older woman loved tea with honey at exactly 3 in the afternoon. That she loved old jazz music. That she had once been a dancer before she married. Grace didn't just care for her. She honored her. She helped her bathe with such gentleness that Mrs. Castellano actually relaxed. She brushed her hair slowly, telling stories about the group home, about the other kids she'd grown up with, about the stray cat she'd fed behind the shelter. "I named him Lucky," Grace said, working through a tangle. Because even though he lived in an alley, he always seemed happy. Like he knew he was free. Mrs. Castellano made a sound. Grace had learned her sounds. "You had a cat once?" Grace guessed. A nod. "What was its name?" Mrs. Castellano's mouth worked. Midnight. Midnight. That's beautiful. Grace never left her facing the wall. Never forgot her lunch. Never spoke to her like she was stupid or broken. She spoke to her like the queen she'd once been. At night, after dinner, Grace would help her into bed and sit beside her. She'd read aloud from books she found in the library downstairs. Romance novels. Adventure stories. Sometimes she'd just talk about her day. "I burned the pasta tonight," Grace confessed one evening. "The chef looked at me like I'd committed murder. I think he's terrified of your son." Mrs. Castellano's eyes sparkled. Her mouth twitched. "Are you laughing at me?" Grace gasped in mock offense. Mrs. Castellano nodded, and a sound came out. Rusty. Broken. But definitely a laugh. Grace grinned. "That's the best sound I've ever heard." Mrs. Castellano wasn't stupid. Even trapped in a broken body, her mind was sharp. And she saw things. She saw how her son came home earlier now. How he found excuses to check on her 3, 4, 5 times a day. But he wasn't just checking on her. His eyes would find Grace. Follow her movements around the room. Soften when she laughed. One evening, Grace was helping Mrs. Castellano with her physical therapy exercises, gentle movements to keep her muscles from weakening completely. "That's it," Grace encouraged. "You're getting stronger. I can feel it." Mrs. Castellano glanced at the doorway. Dante stood there, watching. He thought he was hidden in the shadows. But mothers always know. The way he looked at Grace, it was the way his father had once looked at her. like she was sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Mrs. Castellano made a plan. Dante, Mrs. Castellano called one morning. Her speech was getting clearer with Grace's patient help. He appeared immediately. Yes, Mama?
Dinner.
Tonight. She gestured to Grace, who was folding laundry in the corner. Her.
You. Together.
Dante's eyes widened. Mama, I don't think. Please. That one word.
Soft. Pleading.
The first real request she'd made in months. How could he refuse? Grace panicked when Mrs. Castellano told her, I can't have dinner with your son. He's the boss. Mrs. Castellano gripped her hand. Good man. Lonely. Like you. But I'm not just, special. Mrs. Castellano squeezed harder.
Please.
For me. Grace had never been able to refuse those words. The dinner was awkward at first. They sat at opposite ends of a table meant for 20. The chef had prepared an elaborate meal. Candles flickered. This is ridiculous, Dante finally said. He grabbed his plate and moved to the chair beside Grace. Better. Grace's breath caught. Up close, he was even more intense. But also tired. Deeply tired. Your mother is improving, she said softly. She's speaking more. Moving more. Because of you. His voice was rough. In 6 months, no one else could do what you've done in 4 weeks. I just care about her.
Why?
The question burst out of him. You don't know us. You owe us nothing. Why do you care so much? Grace set down her fork. Her eyes met his. Because I know what it's like to be invisible. To have people look through you like you're not there. Your mother isn't invisible to me. She's a person. She's a queen. And she deserves to be treated like one. Dante stared at her. Something in his chest cracked open. Tell me about yourself, he said quietly. Please.
So she did.
She told him about the group home. About aging out with nowhere to go. About the jobs that barely paid rent. About sleeping in her car one winter. But you never gave up, he said. Giving up felt like dying. She smiled sadly. And I wasn't ready to die. I kept thinking someone needs me. Somewhere. Someone needs the love I have to give. My mother needs you. Their eyes held. Maybe not just your mother, Grace whispered. The air between them changed.
Charged.
Electric. Dante reached across the table. His fingers brushed hers. Upstairs, watching from the window above the dining room, Mrs. Castellano smiled. After that night, everything shifted. Dante found reasons to be home more. He started joining them for afternoon tea. He'd sit and listen to Grace read to his mother, his eyes never leaving her face. Grace felt it too. The pull. The magnetic force that drew them together. But she was terrified. I don't belong in this world, she confessed to Mrs. Castellano one night. He's everything. I'm nobody. Mrs. Castellano grabbed her hand with surprising strength.
Wrong.
You, everything. He lucky. You're sweet, but...
No.
Listen. Mrs. Castellano struggled with the words. Dante, good man. But lonely. So lonely. Needs light. You are light. Tears filled Grace's eyes. No one's ever said something like that to me.
True.
All true. Dante's men noticed the change in their boss.
He smiled now.
Actually smiled. He came to meetings less tense. Less angry. It's the girl, his second-in-command, Marcus said. The caregiver. I know, Dante replied. He didn't even try to deny it. Boss, be careful. In our world. I'm always careful, Marcus. But maybe I'm tired of being alone in a fortress. 2 months into her employment, Grace had transformed Mrs. Castellano. The older woman could walk short distances with a cane now. Her speech was nearly normal. The light had returned to her eyes. One afternoon, as Grace pushed her wheelchair through the garden, Mrs. Castellano spoke suddenly. I'm going to ask you something. Please, honest answer. Always, Grace promised. Do you have feelings for my son? Grace's hands froze on the wheelchair handles. Her heart hammered. She couldn't lie. Not to this woman. Yes. But it doesn't matter. It can't. Why? Because I'm not. I'm not the kind of woman men like him marry. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I've never even been with anyone. I'm 28 years old, and I've never been kissed. I've never been loved. What man wants that? What man wants a woman with so much emptiness? Mrs. Castellano reached up and grabbed Grace's hand, pulling her around to face her. You think emptiness. I see purity, strength, survival. Her eyes blazed. You think he wants someone from his world? Someone cold? Someone who knows how to play games. I don't know what he wants. He wants you. I see it. Every day. But I'm not. Enough. Mrs. Castellano's voice turned fierce. You saved me. You gave me life again. Now I give you gift. I give you my son. If he's smart, he'll take it. That night, Mrs. Castellano called Dante to her room. Grace had gone to prepare tea. They were alone. Sit, she commanded. He obeyed. At 35 years old, he still obeyed his mother. I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to listen. Mama, listen. She leaned forward. That girl.
Grace.
She loves you. Dante's breath stopped. And you love her.
Don't deny it.
I see it. Mama, I can't. My world is dangerous. She's innocent.
Pure.
I would ruin her. You think she's fragile? Mrs. Castellano laughed. A real laugh. That girl survived things you can't imagine. She survived being alone, being unwanted. And she still has enough love at her heart to give everything to a broken old woman she just met. That's why I can't. That's exactly why you can. His mother grabbed his face in both hands. You spend your life in darkness, protecting, fighting, building walls. She is light, Dante. She is the light you need. And you are the home she's never had. What if I hurt her? What if you love her instead? Dante closed his eyes. I don't know how. Then learn. With her. Dante found Grace in the garden at midnight. She sat on a bench under the stars, wrapped in a shawl. She looked up when she heard his footsteps. Can't sleep? He asked. Too much on my mind. She moved over, making room. He sat. Close. Their shoulders touched. For a long time, they just sat in silence. The kind of silence that's comfortable. Safe. Grace, he finally said. I need to tell you something. Her heart stopped. Okay. I'm not a good man. The things I've done, the world I live in, it's dark. Dangerous. I can't offer you a normal life. I never wanted a normal life, she whispered. Normal never wanted me. He turned to face her. I care about you. More than I've cared about anyone except my mother. And it terrifies me. Why? Because everyone I care about gets hurt. Because I'm poison. Grace reached up and placed her hand on his cheek. He froze at the touch. You're not poison. You're a man who loves his mother so much that he built her an empire to keep her safe. You're a man who fired the people hurting her the moment you knew. You're a man who comes home early just to drink tea and listen to stories. You see things that aren't there. I see things everyone else is afraid to see. His hand covered hers on his cheek. I don't deserve you. Maybe not. But I'm here anyway. He leaned closer. His eyes searched hers. Can I kiss you? She'd never been asked that before. With such gentleness.
Such respect.
Yes, she breathed. The kiss was soft. Tender. He kissed her like she was made of glass. Like she was precious. When they pulled apart, Grace was crying. Did I hurt you? Panic filled his voice.
No.
That was my first kiss.
And it was perfect.
Something in Dante's expression changed. Shifted. Your first? She nodded, suddenly shy. Grace, how old are you? 28. And you've never been kissed. Never been held. Never been anything. She looked away, embarrassed. I know that's strange. I know. He turned her face back to his. His eyes were fierce. It's not strange. It's a gift. You saved yourself. Not for me. For yourself. Because you knew you were worth waiting for. I didn't feel worth anything. Then let me show you that you are. He kissed her again, deeper this time. Still gentle, but with promise. With future. Above them, watching from her window, Mrs. Castellano wiped away happy tears. But happiness in Dante's world never lasted long.
Victor Moretti.
Dante's rival. A man who'd been trying to take over Castellano territory for years. He'd heard about the girl. The caregiver who'd captured the untouchable boss's heart. And he saw an opportunity. Grace was shopping in the market when they grabbed her.
A van.
A cloth over her mouth. Darkness. When she woke, she was in a warehouse, tied to a chair. Victor stood before her, smiling. Hello, little bird. You're going to help me send a message to Dante Castellano. Fear flooded through her, but beneath it anger. He'll kill you for this. Maybe. Or maybe he'll give me everything I want to get you back. Victor leaned close. You must be very special. The great Dante Castellano, brought to his knees by an orphan girl. How poetic. Why are you doing this? Because he has what I want.
Power.
Territory. Respect. Victor's smile turned cruel. And now I have what he wants.
You.
Chapter 15. The Rescue. When Dante came home to find Grace gone, something inside him broke. Find her, he told Marcus.
His voice was deadly calm.
Burn the city down if you have to. Find her. It took 6 hours. 6 hours of pure terror. 6 hours of imagining everything they could do to her. When they found the warehouse, Dante didn't wait for backup. He went in alone. Stupid. Dangerous. Exactly what Victor expected. But Dante didn't care. Grace heard the gunfire before she saw him. Then he was there. In the doorway. Covered in blood that wasn't his. Eyes wild. Grace. Dante. She struggled against the ropes. He crossed the room in 3 strides, cutting her free. His hands ran over her, checking for injuries. Did they hurt you? Tell me. I'm okay. I'm okay. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tight, she could barely breathe. I thought I lost you. I thought. I'm here. I'm safe. Behind them, Victor appeared in the doorway, gun raised. How touching, he sneered. Dante moved faster than thought. He shoved Grace behind him, his own gun appearing like magic.
2 men.
2 guns. Both aimed at hearts. You can't win this, Victor. Neither can you. If you shoot me, my men will kill you both. If I shoot you, my men will kill her. Stalemate. Grace's mind raced. Then she saw it. A piece of metal pipe near her feet. She didn't think. She grabbed it and threw it hard. It hit Victor in the shoulder. Not hard enough to hurt him badly, but hard enough to make him flinch. Dante fired. Victor went down. Back at the mansion, Mrs. Castellano sobbed when she saw them. Thank God. Thank God. Grace ran to her, kneeling beside the wheelchair. I'm okay. I promise. Never again. Never leave me again. Never, Grace promised. Dante stood in the doorway, watching them. His mother. His what? What was Grace to him now? Everything. She was everything. That night, after his mother was asleep, Dante found Grace in her room. She was sitting on the bed, still shaking slightly. Can I come in? He asked softly. She nodded. He sat beside her. Took her hand. I'm sorry. This is my fault. My world. My enemies. Your enemies are crazy. That's not your fault. I should have protected you better. You did protect me. You saved me. You saved yourself. That throw, that was brilliant. A tiny smile. I was aiming for his head. Dante laughed. Actually laughed. Then he pulled her into his arms. I can't lose you. I won't survive it. You won't lose me. I'm not going anywhere. Grace. He pulled back, looking into her eyes. I love you. I didn't know I could feel this. Didn't know my heart still worked this way. But I love you. Tears streamed down her face. I love you too. I've loved you since that first dinner when you moved your chair closer. Marry me. She froze. What? Marry me. Not because of today. Not because of fear. But because I want to wake up next to you for the rest of my life. Because I want to give you the home you never had. Because you're the light in my darkness, and I'm greedy enough to want to keep you forever. Dante?
I'm not. I don't know how to be a wife.
I don't know how to be anything except alone. Then we'll learn together. He cupped her face. I'm asking you to marry me because I love you. Not in spite of who you are, but because of who you are. Every part of you, including the parts you think are broken. I'm a 28-year-old virgin who's never been on a date. And I'm a 35-year-old criminal who's killed men and broken laws. We're quite a pair. He smiled. Say yes, Grace.
Please.
Say yes. She kissed him.
Soft. Sweet.
Full of promise.
Yes.
Yes, I'll marry you. Mrs. Castellano took charge of the wedding planning with the energy of a woman reborn. Small, she insisted. Family only. Simple. Beautiful. Grace tried on dresses with Mrs. Castellano beside her in her wheelchair, which she rarely used now. The older woman had tears in her eyes as Grace emerged in a simple white gown. My daughter, Mrs. Castellano whispered. You're my daughter now. Grace knelt before her. You saved my life. Before I met you, I was just surviving. Now I'm living.
No, child.
You saved mine. You gave me a reason to fight.
To speak.
To live. She took Grace's hands. You gave me back my son. You gave him back his heart. The wedding took place in the mansion's garden at sunset. 20 people. Close family. Trusted friends. Grace walked down the aisle alone. No father to give her away. But she didn't need one. Mrs. Castellano stood, without her wheelchair, as Grace passed. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. At the altar, Dante waited. He wore a simple black suit, but his eyes held everything. The priest spoke about love, about finding home in another person, about two broken souls becoming whole. Do you, Dante, take this woman? I do. Forever. I do. And do you, Grace? I do. She was crying. Happy tears. I absolutely do. Then, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. The kiss was tender. Perfect. Full of promise. As they turned to face their guests, Mrs. Castellano stood and applauded. Tears streamed down her face. Her son had found love. The girl who'd saved her had found home. And she had found her daughter. That night, in their bedroom, Dante was patient. We don't have to do anything, he said softly. Tonight or any night. We move at your pace. Grace touched his face. I'm not afraid. Not with you. Grace, I need you to understand something. When I learned you'd never been with anyone, I didn't see it as strange. I saw it as sacred. You waited. Not for me specifically, but for someone who would cherish that gift. That trust. I did wait.
Without even meaning to.
I just never found anyone who made me feel. She searched for the word. Safe, he finished.
Yes.
Safe. But also alive. You make me feel both. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Tonight, I'm not going to make you my lover. Tonight, I'm going to show you that you're cherished.
Adored.
Worshipped. Dante. And every night after this, I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice. That I'm worthy of the gift you're giving me. What happened next was private, sacred, beautiful. But through the walls, in her room down the hall, Mrs. Castellano heard soft laughter.
Joy.
And she smiled into the darkness. Her family was complete. Grace stood in the garden, one hand on her swollen belly. 6 months pregnant. A girl, the doctor said. Mrs. Castellano sat beside her. Not in a wheelchair, but on a bench. Her recovery was nearly complete. She still had moments of weakness, but mostly she was herself again. What will you name her? Mrs. Castellano asked. Grace smiled. Hope. We'll name her Hope. Perfect. The older woman reached over and squeezed her hand. You know, a year ago I was broken.
Dying.
Giving up. And now I have a daughter. A son who smiles. and soon a granddaughter. She looked at Grace with shining eyes. You didn't just save me. You saved us all. Dante appeared in the doorway, home early from work as always now. He'd cut back on the dangerous parts of the business. Delegated more. Because he had something to live for now. He crossed the garden and wrapped his arms around Grace from behind, his hands covering hers on her belly. My girls, he murmured. Your girls, Grace agreed. Mrs. Castellano watched them. The orphan girl who'd survived everything. The dangerous man who'd learned to love. The baby who would be born into a home filled with light. Thank you, she whispered to the universe. Thank you for sending her to us. Sometimes the people who save us aren't the ones we expect. Sometimes home isn't a place. It's a person. Sometimes family isn't blood. It's choice. Grace chose to love when she had every reason to hate. Mrs. Castellano chose to fight when she had every reason to give up. And Dante chose to open his heart when he thought it was impossible. 3 broken people. 1 family. 1 beautiful, impossible, perfect family. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember. You are never too broken to be loved. You are never too lost to find home. And you are never, ever alone.